Today on Randy Reviews It, we talk about products that I've used or reviewed, stuff like that that just didn't hold up. If you've had products like that, stick around. We got a really big one at the end that a lot of people are going to be raving and ranting about and all that stuff because it's really heartbreaking how this didn't hold up. So stick around, let's talk about it. Hey everybody, Randy Reviews It here. So this week we're talking about products that I've had and just stopped using because they didn't hold up, they broke, something along those lines. It's kind of heartbreaking on the last one. Like I said, stick around. That one's going to be infuriating. But I have my phone here with my notes on it so I can give good information and not miss anything this time around on stuff. So let's talk about the first product. And that's the Olight Odin, which is their rifle light. So this Olight Odin, and I know people like to dunk on Olight. I'm not one of those people that's saying everything explodes that they use or anything like that. I've had some decent Olight stuff, but the Olight Odin was a real piece of junk. It broke within 2 months, and this was on a gun that wasn't being used. It was kind of just being leaned against like my basement wall, and all of a sudden I heard my gun fall and I had no idea why, and it's because the mount completely like snapped in half. It was a real piece of junk as far as the mount, and they have their own little proprietary mount thing, so there's no hard use on it at all. Like, it didn't even hold up to being stored, so that's a problem. The other thing to talk about is on this they have a switch system, and it uses like kind of a magnetic thing, which is really easy to like rip off. So, and the other thing is you got to take that part off every time you want to recharge it, because Olight can't let anything exist that isn't, rechargeable. So in their infinite wisdom, they made the switch and the recharger in the exact same spot. So every time you need to charge your light, you need to disconnect your switch, causing potentially issues down the road with the switch. So Olight Odin, complete piece of junk. I would never recommend it to anyone. And if you have one now, you should probably switch that out, like being completely honest. The next, you can see it maybe back there in the shadows, but it's been in a lot of my videos, the Magpump 9mm Pro. So I did a video on the Magpump, and I was pointing out how it was difficult to use. It wasn't working the way that I intended, and then I started getting it running and everything like that. The problem is I have a bunch of different guns. They don't all take the same mag, so getting different inserts for various magazines was difficult, and some of them just aren't supported. Like, I'm a big fan of my Langdon PX4, and the Beretta Storm is not supported. I had to email them to get a P30 VP9 loader, and it doesn't work that great, and it took a few tries to get that going. The feed issues are a regular occurrence, so if I'm loading a bunch of mags, I usually have to take it apart every 5 mags or so because something gets stuck in the feed, or I'm shaking it or anything like that. And what's funny is it has like holes on the feet where you could like drill it and screw it into your bench or anything like that. Would never recommend that, because you have to turn this thing upside down and shake bullets out of it all the time. it's a big issue. The other thing is the hopper's not very big. So I was hoping to buy that and just set ammo in it and then just reload mags at my leisure. But the thing is pretty much after every mag, you got to take another handful of ammo and put it in there because it can only hold a certain amount, which is pretty much like 2 mags. Anything more than that, and you start having more and more feed issues. Anything less than that, and you're putting handfuls in it all the time. So it's not that much faster. And let's talk about that. The speed isn't that much faster with the number of feed issues and things like that. Just stick to the Oop Lula or whatever it's called. I find myself using that more than anything because 1, it can accommodate a bunch of different magazines that the Magpump can't. And 2, it's just as fast. And the only issues I have with it are my hands. So Magpump 9mm Pro, I wouldn't recommend it anymore. I'm looking to maybe try their AR version because that has standard mags across everything and it's only 1 caliber. So I might give that a try, but I'm a fan of the Potovac right now for loading that. Next on the list, and I didn't think people would expect this one, but cloud defensive lights. I am phasing out all of my cloud defensive lights, and I'm moving to Arisakas or stuff like that, more proven ones. Because the cloud defensive, I've had issues with the heads where they just stopped working or they worked intermittently and no one could explain why. And I've had cloud defensive, I think, send me 2 new heads already. So it's like if I can't trust it to work all the time and it's a weapon light, that's a problem. So that's the first thing. The next thing is you have to buy a single like thumb switch. So I use thumb only. I don't use any remote cable or anything like that. Cloud defensive comes with like kind of a dual system. The problem is if you only want thumb only, you have to pay like an extra like $40 to get the thumb one. I think they should send it with it, or you should be able to designate that on checkout. Like if you don't want the remote cable and all that other stuff, you should be able to designate, I just want the thumb one. The cable management system and the remote on it is pretty awful. So like the buttons are not very responsive. It's got like a printed plastic housing almost on it, and it's pretty easy to like over torque it and screw right through the housing. I've had to replace the housings on them a few times, and it's just been a pain. That's why I switched to the thumb ones, because I couldn't trust the remote cable at all. I was having issues with that. It wasn't activating when it should. It gets tangled. It gets a little funny. Yeah, not a good cable management system or remote. And lastly, the reason I'm really moving away too is the mounts are awful with this. Like I'm talking about how the lights screw in too. So I have Cloud, the first one. I have not the OWL, but the first Cloud defensive light. I'm trying to think of what it's called. But the micro. And I'm afraid to take it off the gun because the screws were so easy to strip putting it on that if I take it off again, I won't have screws to put it on anything else. So it's sitting on this gun, and when it comes loose, I'm just switching out the light. Like I'm just probably throwing it away or something like that. Because the screws that they provide you with and the mounts that they provide you with are absolute garbage. I would definitely recommend getting like an Arisaka mount or anything else if you can, because their mounts are absolute trash. But just because of the heads, the switches, everything else, I'm probably not going to buy a Cloud light anytime soon. And if you've been like me waiting for the EPL, that's never happening. Just move on. All right, Alien Gear holsters. So I've done a few videos. I've probably owned 8 or 9 Alien Gear holsters. Where this really came into play is I was at Valor Ridge and I was using the magazine carriers especially, and the comfort's just not there. Like you think it would be good with the neoprene and all that stuff for like the hybrid system, but the problem with the neoprene is it doesn't allow you to move. So if you're a bigger guy like me and you got a little jiggle in you at all, it's gonna like pull on you and rub. Really, like it doesn't rub, it pulls. and it's very uncomfortable. And not to mention, like, some of the plastic they use for the guns is an issue. Like, it's not Kydex, it's something else. And I don't think it would really hold up that well, especially like if I just stepped on it or something like that, where Kydex I think would be fine. The other thing is they don't really support red dot stuff much. Like, I had to take like a Dremel to my alien gear, and I don't know if I trust it after that because of the way that they fit together with like the teeth and stuff. So alien gear, if you're not using red dots and you don't mind it, like comfort wise, maybe you're all right, but I'm probably not going to buy another one again. I like the hidden hybrid, I like the JM custom Kydex, that sort of thing with like the clinger cushion like I've shown in a previous video. Right there, maybe. And then let's talk about the INforce weapon mounted light. So I've been seeing a rise of these INforce lights again, and I don't know why, because it's been a complete piece of shit for me. And I'm swearing here because it was my first weapon mounted light way back when, long before I started the YouTube channel. And I used to keep it in my Vault-Tec safe and everything like that. And every time I took it out of the safe, it was dead. Like, it just ate batteries. It wasn't on or anything. And I made sure that it was off. I even flipped the disconnect thing, the little bar that's on there, to switch it to a disconnect. And it would still eat batteries. Not to mention, you can break them like nothing. They're like tissue paper. So I don't know why anyone's using the INforce rifle lights or anything like that. It's a piece of junk. It does not feel sturdy. The button system is weird with like the flip bar and, you know, constant on and things like that. Just not good. It's not responsive either. Move on. And we're at the last item now. So this is the item that is probably going to cause an uproar in the gun community. And it's the OSS Helix QD 556. And now I'm saying this about HUXWRX. All HUXWRX suppressors. I will never buy another HUXWRX suppressor again, because it's absolute bullshit what I just went through. So let's see if we can see in here. Let me find it. Right there. You see that little ding in the thread there? Because of that ding, I cannot mount this on any of my guns anymore. And I don't know how it got dinged, because I'm not like beating in car windows with this. I'm not rough on these things at all. I just put it on a gun and then take it off a gun, put it on a different gun, take it off a different gun. So I reached out to HUXWRX because this week I just took it off a gun while I was painting it, or I left this on while I was painting it, took it off, went to put it back on and it wouldn't go back on. I was like, well, what's going on here? So I tried it on a different gun because I figured it was the muzzle device or something, and it won't go on any of my other ones. But my Helix QD 762 will go on everything. So it's this suppressor, and then I looked in there and I saw that the threading was squished a little bit. Apparently the threading for me just putting it on so many times apparently got weak. But let's talk about how many times and how much I've actually used it. So I reached out to HUXWRX and I told them, hey, I'm having this issue. I sent pictures, I sent all that stuff. They go, well, how many rounds you got through it? And I go, about 8,000, 6,000 to 8,000, somewhere around there I would estimate through it. So not an extremely high round count when you think about what they consider like a duty rated suppressor. And I don't know what duty rated even means. They use that terminology, but I think it's supposed to mean sturdy. I've only had this in use 17 months. Think about that. Not even a year and a half have I had this in use, and this thing has failed on me. And when I told HUXWRX, hey, I've used 8,000 rounds, I've had it for this long, and I've tried it on other guns, it's the suppressor. They go, well, how many guns did you try it on? And I go, well, I use it on 4 different guns. And they go, well, you've probably taken it off too much and off and on. And this is a QD. It's listed as a QD. So why would you have a quick disconnect suppressor that you're not supposed to move on multiple rifles? Needless to say, HUXWRX isn't giving me any warranty. What they said is they can give me 50% off my next suppressor with them, which I don't want one. You want to know why? Because I waited 700 damn days for this, because I moved to Tennessee right when this got approved, basically, and I had to wait again. So I waited 700 days for this, and it only lasted 17 months. I did a single shot trust on this. Who am I passing this thing down to? Like, why did I do a trust on a product that only lasted 17 months? I think ATI AR-15s last longer than that. Like, this is a real joke. Like, what kind of a warranty is that? So I reached back out to HUXWRX, and I sent them a meme, and I told them I'm going to stick to stuff from silencer companies that actually honor warranties and build decent products. So I got a Griffin can on the way. I've heard only good things. I've seen some of the warranties they honored. I'm not worried about anything from Griffin. I'm going to try Spectre Cat as well. They look pretty legit. But overall, HUXWRX can get bent, just like the threading inside my suppressor. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hit a like, subscribe. Any of that stuff helps out. Take care.